Hey everyone, this is Andrew at Plainview Farm, and this is going to be part 2 of our head gasket repair on our Kioti DK55. Let me show you what I've been up to over the last few days. So this is the head, and I'm not sure how well it shows up on the camera. It is not all polished up and pretty. I mean, it is shiny. It does look nice, but it's clean. Okay, that's the important part. It is clean. It is flat. All right, it is free of any grime or any old gasket material, anything like that. And like I said, it is flat. I did get it all checked out and make sure that everything was still within the proper tolerances. It is the same situation with the head. With the top of the engine block. It is flat, and it is also clean. Like I said, it's not all polished up, real nice and pretty, but it is clean, okay? And that's the most important part whenever you are putting a new head gasket on an engine like this. As long as your surfaces are all flat like they're supposed to be, you want them to be clean. I'm gonna wipe everything down with a cloth and make sure that there is no dust or anything like that on the surfaces, and then we'll put the new gasket on and start putting everything back together. If you can hear that buzzing, that's the battery charger. Trying to get the battery charged on this tractor. It's been setting for a good while. Okay, so we're going to take this wiping cloth here. It is a clean new cloth. We're going to just wipe the surface. Try to get any dust, like I said, off of the surface here. I got the head, and I don't know if you can see on the cloth. You know, there's a little bit of dust, but that's it. That's all that's coming off of it. Again, I'm going to do that now to the engine block. Make sure our surfaces are clean, that we're not getting any kind of residue or anything like that whenever we wipe this down. All right, block's the same way. So now, before I put everything back together, I did get some cheap store brand oil. I cleaned the insides of the cylinders here. Like I said, I did get some cheap store brand oil, and we're going to use this. I'm going to get a little bit on the rag here. I'm going to wipe the insides of the cylinder walls. That way there is some oil on the cylinder walls. Whenever this thing starts back up. As you can see, I'm getting some residue out of there. Like I said, want to get the cylinder walls. Want to get these cylinder walls lubricated. That way they are not completely dry when we go back to startup. So again, this is just some cheap store brand oil. This is not anything special. And we're just going to use it to clean out the engine. That's what its primary job is going to be whenever we get everything going, put back together and get it started back up. We want it to just clean everything up. So again, I'm going to wipe everything one more time here, just around where I put the oil, with a little bit of cleaner to get any oil off that I may have got up around the top there. We should be good to go. Okay, so I did a little bit of research because when I got my new gasket, I opened it all up and it did not look exactly like the old gasket. Let me show you what I mean. If you look here, you can see that the new gasket is laminated. Okay, we've got a couple layers of steel. We've got gasket material inside of it. All right. What I found out was that the old gaskets were known to blow out. That was apparently a problem with them. So Kioti has redesigned their gaskets for these engines, and you can no longer get the original style of gasket, which is right here. Okay, that's more traditional style head gasket. We've got the upgraded version now sitting there on the engine. And make sure we've got top. We want to make sure all of our ports are lined up where they're supposed to be. Our fire rings, whatever you call them, all look good there. I'm happy. So now we're going to try and set this head back on there. See if I can do this without messing anything up. We got some fluid draining here. I'm trying to wipe everything down. Anytime you're working on something, reassembly is always more difficult than disassembly. All right, we appear to be in place. I'm going to take the flashlight and double check everything really well. Make sure we didn't scoot and move and bump and shimmy and all that kind of stuff. Make sure everything is setting where it's supposed to. Cows are excited. They know I just set the head back on this thing. All right, everything looks pretty good. Make sure our head bolts are all nice and clean. And it's also, I did not mention this, but it's also a good idea to chase your threads. Make sure I didn't knock anything down. See if I can. All right, they all still look clean. Make sure I didn't jar anything loose and knock down inside them. And the book says, before you insert your head bolts, dip them in oil. You can tell by looking at them which bolts were under the valve cover and which bolts were not, by how clean they are. So we're gonna, at least, I may not be going back in the exact same spot, but the clean bolts are gonna go underneath the valve cover. And by clean, I'm talking about the head. You can see here, clean. Dirty. They're all starting like they're supposed to. And I know that there are some engines that require you to replace the head bolts, but I have seen absolutely nothing about replacing the head bolts in these. the book doesn't say anything about it. So as you can see, I'm just going to reuse what I had. All right, so our head bolts are all setting where they belong. Now I'm going to take this opportunity to wipe down the top of the head here with this dirty old towel. But as I started to mention before, I don't remember if I finished saying it or not, but I bought some just cheap store brand oil that I'm going to use to clean out the engine in the event that there's any trash, still in here, anything got inside the engine. We're going to run it for a little bit. I'm going to put a few hours on it, and then we will drain everything out and make sure that we're still good to go on all of our torque specs. And then hopefully we won't have any more problems. So now I got to go get the torque wrench and we will start torquing these down. We're going to tighten these down in a few different steps. Okay, so our ultimate goal is somewhere between 75.9 and 79.6 foot-pounds. So we are going to try to set our torquey wrench. If we do this in 4 steps, I'm going to start out and we're going to do 20. Then we'll jump to 40, 60, and then, so on and so forth. So, I'm going to tighten the first one. Again, like I said, at 20. Okay, so there was our click. Click to, I've got to lay this out here. Lay this out here so I can see what I'm doing. Click. I'm going to use our knuckle for this one. Click. 18. Okay, so now we have 18, we are set to 20. Now we're going to jump up to 40 pounds. Start the whole thing over again. 18. Now we're going to jump to 60 pounds. 18. Now, we're going to go about halfway between our requirement of 75.9 and 79.6. So we're going to go to about, let's say, here's 75, 76. Let's say 77. Torque these down to 77 and a half. 17, 18. Okay, so there we have it. The head is torqued. Now I'm going to wipe it off again with this dirty towel. Okay, and now I'm going to make a mark. Make a little reference mark. See how things are going, which it does say after some use to torque them all again. We're going to see. We're just going to put a few marks on it, like I said, just reference marks just to see where things end up. Now, if you remember our piece of cardboard from the last video here on the tractor, we've got all of our rods in here in order. We're just going to put them back where they go. Easily, carefully, set them back in. That way we can get this thing all back together. We're going to get everything set back here where it goes. Oh, come on. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, so now we are ready to torque down our rocker arm assembly here. And I've got the torque specs for it between 35.3 and 41.2. So now for these, it's the same situation. The bolts for our rocker arm assembly also are to be tightened in several steps. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, again at 20. Oh, wrong way. With our torque wrench set to 20. 2, 3, 4. Okay, now I'm gonna bump to 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, to 35. Actually, we're going to bump to 32. Now we're going to bump to 40. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to stop for a moment so I can catch up on some reading.